Section 4 Stock Trading Strategies. This course has an educational and informational purpose and doesn't constitute any type of trading or investment advice. Please pause the video now to read the full course disclaimer. Okay, let's continue. Stock trading strategies are calculated using single or multiple indicator trading signals. This leads to strategies being long, or buying, or short, which is selling, of corresponding stock. Therefore, we're calculating them again with loops. For loops, for I in N, which stands for an iteration through all the rows within our data frame. And first we're asking, if our trading signal was equal to 1, or buy, then our trading strategy is equal to 1, meaning we own the stock. If this is not the case, we enter a second if, which is a nested if within the original one. Therefore, it's an else if that asks, if our trading signal was -1 or a sell signal, then our trading strategy is equal to 0, meaning we don't own the stock. If we don't have any of these two conditions, then we have else, which was a trading signal equals to 0, which is do nothing. Therefore, our trading strategy remains the same as our previous trading strategy, meaning that if we own the stock, we keep on owning it, and if we don't own the stock, we keep on not owning it. Great. So let's go back into our Python PyCharm IDE to see what this section will contain. Excellent. So here we are back within our Python PyCharm IDE. In this section, we'll be working with all of our code files. If you have any questions about how we created the project, how we created the files, how we download, install, import our corresponding packages, how we download or read the corresponding data, please go back to section 1, Stock Technical Analysis Data Lecture, where all of that is explained with greater detail. So with similar structure to our previous section, first we'll study single indicator based trading strategies. For this, we'll begin with lagging indicators: simple moving average, exponential moving average, Bollinger Bands, and parabolic stop and reverse. Then with leading indicators: average directional movement index, commodity channel index, moving averages convergence divergence, rate of change, relative strength index, stochastic oscillator, and Williams percentage R. After that, we'll continue with multiple indicator-based trading strategies: simple moving average, which is combined with commodity channel index, rate of change, relative strength index, stochastic oscillator, and finally Williams percentage R. So let's begin as an example with our simple moving average right over here. So as they're meant to be standalone type of files, first we import our packages, then we do our data reading by default. Next, we calculate our technical indicator together with its chart. And previously, we calculated the corresponding trading signals with previous periods data to avoid backtesting bias. So it was signals which were buy equals 1, sell -1, or do nothing equals to 0. They were calculated within a for loop in which the first if conditional corresponds to the buy signal, the second if, which was nested, corresponded to the sell signal, and the third one to 0, which was do nothing. Then we did the associated trading signals chart. So in this case, we're going to study our price crossover trading strategy. Therefore, we're going to generate trading signals. Own the stock equals to 1, we don't own the stock equals to 0, and it's important to mention that short selling is not available in these strategies. We create a corresponding column where we're going to store all these values, and then we are going to calculate the corresponding trading strategy. For this, we're going to use again for loop in which we're asking if our signal was a buy, then we own the stock. If it was a sell, we don't own it. And if we had a 0, which was do nothing, then our trading strategy is equal to the previous periods. We update the corresponding data frame, and then we do the corresponding chart, which in this case it's two subplots of our close prices with the technical indicator, and then below our trading strategy with its corresponding marker and line style. So Continuing with single indicators, but in this case with leading type, which is our average directional movement index as an example, we also have standalone type of files, which we need to import our packages, read data, next calculate technical indicator together with its chart, then we calculated the corresponding trading signals by using previous periods data to avoid backtesting bias, then we calculated buy equals 1, sell equals -1 or 0, which is equals to do nothing type of trading signals with for loops in which our first conditional if was for buy signal, the second if, which was a nested if within the original, was a -1 or a sell signal, and else 0, which is do nothing. Then we calculated the corresponding trading signals chart. So now we're going to do, such as in this case, pants and double crossover trading strategy. Generate trading strategy, again, own stock equals 1, we don't own it equals to 0, and short selling not available. For this, we're using a for loop in which we're asking if our trading signal was equal to 1 or buy, we own the stock. If it was equal to -1 or a sell trading signal, then our trading strategy is equal to 0, we don't own the stock. Else, we repeat previous period's trading strategy. We also perform our charting, in this case 3 subplots, first close prices, then our technical indicator or oscillator, and at the end our trading strategy. And finally, let's view one example of multiple indicator-based trading strategies, such as SMA and CCI or Commodity Channel Index. Again, standalone type of file where we import our packages, do our corresponding data reading, then we calculate the 2 technical indicators, simple moving average and Commodity Channel Index with their associated chart. Then we calculate, such as here, price and bands crossover type of trading signals using previous periods data to avoid backtesting bias. Here we have trading signals buy equals 1, sell -1, do nothing equals 0, which are calculated within a for loop. In the first conditional, we have our buy signal, which as you might remember was a price crossover that needed to be confirmed by a corresponding oversold area within our oscillator. Then we had in the second conditional a sell signal, which again was a price crossover that needed to be confirmed with our overbought area in our corresponding oscillator, and if not, we had 0, which was do nothing. Then we performed our corresponding charting of trading signals. So now we're going to study price and bands crossover trading strategy, in which we'll generate trading signals. We own the stock equals to 1, we don't own it equals to 0, and short selling is not available. For this, we're going to use for loops in which we're going to ask if our signal was equal to 1, then our strategy is equal to 1, in which we own the stock. If our trading signal was equal to -1 or a sell type of trading signal, then our trading strategy is equal to 0, which is we don't own the stock. And if we had something else, which means we had a 0 or do nothing, then we have our trading strategy being equal to the previous period. We also going to do our chart, 3 subplots. First, our prices with their simple moving average. In the middle, we have our corresponding oscillator, which is our Commodity Channel Index. And in the last one, we're going to do the corresponding trading strategy. Excellent. After we finish with this, we'll be able to do our price and bands crossover trading strategy, and we'll do the corresponding performance comparison of all of our strategies in our following section. But before going there, let's continue with the first of our trading strategy with single indicators, and in this case with lagging ones, which will be our moving averages through simple moving average and exponential moving average, which will be our following objectives.